and welcome to today's video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the mandala ombre sweater. All of the pattern details are linked down below. You can head over to the blog and check all of that out, or if you just want to straight away purchase the PDF, that is linked down below. So I designed this sweater using the Lion brand Mandala Ombre yarn. You can find a direct link to lionbrand.com to check out some of those colorways, but for this tutorial I'm making a smaller size, and I happened to pick up this Mandala Sparkle. I thought that the colors were fun and perfect for a little 7-year-old girl who will be wearing it, and who doesn't love a little bit of sparkle. So a couple things that I want to explain to you about this particular design. Now this is one of the front panels, and as you can see, the seam right here is completely exposed, and that is with purpose and intention. I wanted to do the design to where the seams were more exposed, almost kind of inside out, and rather than doing one straight panel all the way across, we're taking two panels, combining them in the center. So this would be the center point of the chest. We're combining them in the center to make one large panel. So this just adds a little bit of texture and dimension. And then because we're using a color changing yarn, you're gonna get different effects of the colors, like as you would see here. So instead of 2 body panels, you have 4 panels, 2 of which you connect together to make one whole panel, if that makes sense. And because this is more of a drop sleeve, so this comes down over the shoulder is going to hit like right about here. So she's going to have this come down. And then right here is one of the sleeves, and it has a ribbing cuff. So you start your ribbing cuff and then you work up, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of a balloon or bubble effect, which I like. So whenever it's seamed together, this is going to be nice and tight against her little arm, and then this will be loose to kind of match and mirror the rest of the sweater. So the panels and the sleeves are worked up very similarly in that we're going to chain a certain number, work our ribbing according to sizing directions that you will be able to locate on the blog post or within the PDF. And then from there, we turn the work from going this way, we're going to go this way, and we're just working extended single crochets all the way up for the number of rows that you need to do for whatever size you're making. The sizes available are extra small all the way to 5X. So all of that, like I said, is linked down below. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm taking my yarn and making a slip knot. And we're going to begin by chaining 16. Now this is the same no matter what size you're making. So you don't have to worry about that changing or anything like that. 13, 14, 15, 16. So all the ribbing is a little bit chunkier and larger no matter what size you're making. So in the second chain from the hook, remember your loop on your hook is not your chain. You have 1 and 2. Your second chain from your hook, you're going to insert, yarn over, draw up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, draw through 2. And you just continue all the way across with these single crochets. This part is very, very simple. We're just making single crochets. We're inserting our hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Really simple. We're doing single crochets all the way across. And if you've ever made a YarnHookNeedles design before, you know that I have a love for adding ribbing. I think it gives it a knit looking texture, which I absolutely love knitting. I have several knitting videos that you can check out if you so desire. So I really love to work with ribbing. So now once you get to the end, you're just going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. Now to give us that ribbing effect, what we're going to do is rather than going underneath both of those stitches, we're only going to go in the back loop. So you work your single crochet in the back loop. Now before I move forward, I do want to mention we chained 1, And that chain 1 does count as a single crochet. And you notice that chain 1 is coming up out of this stitch. And so you're going to go right into the very next stitch to work your single crochet. But remember, you're only going into the back loop. So you're working those single crochets not under both stitches, but only into the back loop. And this is what gives us that rib looking texture. And you work in the back loop. So you work those single crochets in the back loop of each row until you have the amount of rows that you need for whatever size that you're making. Another little suggestion too is right here when you get to the end, the very last stitch, I actually go underneath both with my single crochet, and the reason for that is it helps this from having too open of a space. I found that if I would do a single crochet in the back loop all the way across and do that in the last stitch as well, it was giving me kind of a gaping look, and I didn't like that. So I just do a regular normal single crochet right there at the end, and ultimately you'll never even notice that it's like that. So you chain 1 and turn, and again that chain 1 counts as a single crochet. So you immediately go into the next one and you work a single crochet. And you keep doing this until you have the correct number of rows. So go ahead and work up your ribbing, and then meet me back here and I'll show you how to transition into whether you're doing the sleeve or the body. I'll show you how to transition and what you need to do to move forward. All right, so after you have finished the correct number of rows for your ribbing, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go from working this way and we're gonna turn and begin working up. Now, obviously this is a lot smaller because it's being made for a child, but you're gonna get the general idea because all sizes work the same. The stitch counts are just different. So for me, I have 19 rows here, and that means I'm gonna need to create a base foundation of 19 single crochet going along here. Now, a couple of tricks I wanna show you is whenever you are trying to put stitches in an area where there aren't actual stitches to work into, the key is to make sure that you are spacing things as evenly as possible. So first things first, I want to stick my hook in here, just right there on the end. I want to yarn over, draw up a loop, and just make that first single crochet. Then from here, if you look, you kind of have a natural spot right above that indentation to where you can insert your hook and work the next single crochet. So we just did it right there. And then right there, kind of in that pushed back spot, there's another place, and then we're on the top again, so another in the pushed back space, so you can kind of see there is somewhat of a little bit of consistency along the edging. And so I'm just trying to maintain that spacing as best as possible, making sure not to put too few or too many single crochets along this base row. So again, however many ribbing rows you have here, so I did 19, I'm gonna need 19 single crochet. This again will make sure that you don't have any weird shaping and that everything looks very uniform. And this does take a little bit of practice, but it's completely doable. And then here at the end, we just make that final one. Now from here, because you've got the base row, if you're working on the body panels, all you're going to do are extended single crochet. So I'm going to show you how to do an extended single crochet first, and then I'm going to show you what slight adjustment needs to be made whenever you're making the sleeves. So once you get to the end of that base row, you're going to chain 2 and turn. That chain 2 counts as an extended single crochet. So you're going to go right into the next stitch and an extended single crochet, words are hard, it's just insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So it's just slightly higher. So it's insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through the next loop. So let me do it just 2 more times slowly so you can see. Just a slight variation on a very simple stitch, just gives it a little bit of height. Just like that. And you just work those extended single crochets all the way up. When you get to the end, you chain 2 and turn. Now for the sleeve variation, rather than just putting 1 single crochet into each stitch, you're going to place 2 single crochet. So right there where I did the chain 2, I'm going to put an extended single crochet, and then in the next stitch I'm going to do 2, and just continuing putting 2 extended single crochet into each stitch. So we're going to double it. And doing this is what gives us that bubble sleeve look. You're kind of, you want the cuff part where the ribbing is to be tight against the wrist. And then the rest of the sweater, because it is a bit more of a loose fitting garment, you want the rest of the sweater to lay a little bit more loose. So that was one reason why I designed the sleeves this way. So for row 2 of your sleeve, no matter what size you're making, you're going to increase in that second row. And then after you do this 1 row of increases, from there on out, you're just going to put 1 extended single crochet into each stitch. So there's only 1 small change between the sleeve panels and the body panels, and it's just on 1 row. You do it 1 time and that's it. So this is really very beginner friendly, very simple, and not hard to do at all, and something that everyone can make and enjoy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish up this sleeve, and then I'm going to pop back into the video, and I'm going to show you how to seam up the sweater, and then we will conclude this tutorial. Okay, so now that we have got let's see, 4 panels made to attach to assemble for the body and 2 sleeves, it's time to kind of bring it all together. So real simple is you're going to take 2 panels for your body. Remember, 2 equals 1 because we're attaching them to make 1 larger one. All you're going to do is insert your hook in the sides right here, make a slip knot, and then continue all the way down, just working single crochets. Now I want to say do this slowly so that everything is lining up. So just kind of stop and check, making sure nothing is pulling too far one way. And just keep going along with those single crochets. And this, like I said, is going to be the middle seam that is exposed on your sweater. Slightly different than what you would traditionally see, but fun because it adds a little bit of dimension and texture to the sweater. So just work all the way down with those single crochets to seam this together. Once you get to the end, just leave a long enough tail for yourself so that you can weave it in. And then as I open it up, you can see there's our seam. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these panels and I'm going to lay them, kind of line them up right here. And I'm going to seam the shoulders together. So this is all going to be open. This is kind of like where the neck space is going to be. And we essentially have 3 stitches per inch. So I'm not going to include this middle part. I'm going to start on this stitch right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Let's do 6 inches total. No, let's do 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then I come over here to this side and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Insert my hook right there so I know 14 stitches across is my shoulder seam. So now we're just taking another piece of yarn and we're just going to single crochet. Again, we want these seams exposed. That's the whole look and feel of this particular garment. So we're just, rather than trying to do an invisible seam or hide it, we're just single crocheting right on top because we want that exposed look. So just make sure that you are lining up your shoulder seam so that everything is even and you aren't having too few stitches on one side or too many stitches. And do this on both sides of the sweater. And then you can come back and I'm going to show you how to do the sleeves, attach the sleeves on. Okay, so as you can see, there's our little head hole and we're going to turn and attach the sleeves now. So our sleeves are a little bit different because we have kind of a bubble sleeve going on. So what I like to do is I fold the sleeve in half and I try to find the middle point. I just fold it, and once I get that, I take this string here and I just attach it to kind of hold that in place. And then I'm just going to go along here, just like similar to what we did with the shoulder seams. And I'm just going to simply single crochet these on. So as you can see, you've got your 2 body panels. You do sleeve, sleeve, and then you're going to fold everything closed. And then you start at the cuff and sew down to the waistband. So very similar if you've ever worked a YarnHookNeedles design. The way that I do it is pretty much the same. Next year I'll be having some more top-down sweaters and raglan styles, which will be more seamless. But for now, if you're a beginner or you've never made garments before, this type of approach to seaming can be a little easier and a little less daunting. So go ahead, attach your sleeves, and then pop back into the video and I'll explain the final seaming sections. All right, so once your sleeves are completely attached, now's the time where you have 2 options. You can either single crochet from the cuff all the way down to the bottom, or you could just take your tapestry needle and just simply close that seam very easily. So it's completely up to you. As you can see, I'm going to try to get as much of this in the camera as I can. This is definitely a drop sleeve, so here's her little head hole. She'll have an undershirt underneath it, and this will kind of drape down over her shoulders, and then these will kind of hit about 3/4 of the way on her little arm, and it'll come down perfect for leggings, just kind of being cozy and cute and trendy. And yeah, so that is how you make the ombre inside out sweater. Really simple. Again, everything is linked down below. Yarn choices that I used, hooks that I love, and links to the blog post with the free pattern, or if you just want to go ahead and purchase the pattern just as a way of showing your support to the channel, you can do that too. I have them for sale on Etsy and Ravelry, so whichever storefront you want to utilize, you can. So again, thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this with other maker friends in Facebook groups, on Instagram, all of those places. It really helps me out. It helps me to be able to create more designs for you guys. And if you wind up making one of these, let me know. I would love to share you on Instagram. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.